In a packed motor week, the new low-sulphur diesel fuel breakthrough. Formula One Marshall training at Silverstone. Howard Stableford discovers a leading orthopaedics top 10 of car seats. And Chris Goffey talks trucks. And we mean big trucks.
That big boy's toy, the 4x4, is the ultimate fashion accessory of the 90s. This year, over 100,000 of us will buy the outsized Tonka toy to pose around him. And Nissan are hoping that they'll grab a big slice of the action with the all-new Patrol GR.
The new Patrol has a totally redesigned exterior and interior. You can seat up to 7 of you in it if you want this time, and there's more space all round for passengers and driver. And there's 40% more luggage space. Noise levels are also lower, and it's packed with improved safety features and security.
Since this car was first launched in 1951, Nissan have always put 6-cylinder engines in the Patrol, and this model is no different. There's just one engine in the model range, a 6-cylinder intercooled turbo diesel. It's a 2.8 and it's capable of 155 miles per hour. And I think this one needs to see a little bit more action.
Sold all around the world, the new Patrol aims to build on the success of the previous models. All versions of the new Patrol GR, the short wheelbase 3-door and the long wheelbase 5-door, offer more style and comfort.
For the first time we have an intelligent ABS system, which means that it can work out what sort of surface the vehicle is driving on and adjust the way the ABS system works accordingly. And also there's a differential lock on this vehicle, which means it can drive out of sticky situations more easily, and the ABS even works with that, which is excellent.
So even off-road you still have that extra control?
That's right, so you're not going to get wheel lock. The other thing we have is a detachable stabiliser bar at the back. Now what this does is it gives you very stable on-road performance, so it reduces body roll, but off-road you can detach that stabiliser bar and get much more axle articulation and much more traction and more comfort inside the vehicle. We acknowledge that these vehicles are often used on the road, as you say, more often, and we've emphasised a complete redesign on the interior. These vehicles have much more passenger space, much more luggage space. They're more comfortable, and there's also a great deal of equipment, climate control, sunroof, air conditioning, and these are very highly spec vehicles. So yeah, we think to drive on the road or every day, it's a very usable vehicle.
If the Patrol's blend of ruggedness and refinement suits your shopping list, then it's on sale now, with prices starting at $21,900 for the 3-door and $28,900 for the 5-door.
Aston Martin Lagonda has been granted the Queen's Award for Export Achievement. In the past 3 years, the company has more than quadrupled the volume and the value of its sales of new cars, and its works prepared specialised maintenance, restoration and coach building services to overseas customers. Spearheading this export achievement has been the DB7, which has become the most successful Aston Martin of all time.
We had record sales last year and record sales the year before, so it's really good for us to get some external recognition, not only of our increase in sales, but also of the increase in our service and restoration business. We export to 29 countries. About 1/3 of our sales are in the UK and 2/3 are overseas. The primary markets are obviously the United States and Canada, Japan, Germany, which are the key sports car markets, plus all of the rest of Europe. So we're seeing a presence of Aston Martin, a significant presence all around the world.
In fact, last year, total world sales from the Aston Martin factories at Newport Pagnell and near Banbury created an all-time record, with 712 new cars being delivered to customers in 29 different countries. Now, if you went to the Grand Prix at Silverstone, did you think for a minute about the work of the marshals? Each year, dozens of volunteers apply through the RAC MSA to marshal at the British Grand Prix. Those accepted then undergo intensive training, including how to remove crash helmets.
All right, this is difficult.
And how to cope with a blazing car. Marshals are even trained how to cut through roofs to access injured drivers, as well as first aid techniques.
At Silverstone, the marshalling standard is very, very high, and in conjunction with the RAC and the title sponsors of the Grand Prix, we strive to be right up the top with the rest of the marshals in the world. As Murray Walker always says, the British marshals are the best in the world. I wouldn't like to take that claim that we are the best, but we're as good as everyone else.
A new, cleaner kind of fuel is arriving at our pumps this week. Ultra-low-sulphur diesel, a major advance in clean fuel since unleaded came along, is launched in Britain by Elf Oil UK, bringing to the market a product which conforms to future strict environmental specifications recently decided by European authorities. Compared with ordinary diesel, this product has 90% of sulphur removed during manufacture at Elf's UK refinery at Milford Haven.
Ultra-low-sulphur diesel is a more refined version of traditional diesel. Contains 90% less sulphur and is much reduced in terms of black smoke and other emissions.
This is all very well, but what about the new fuel's compatibility with existing vehicles?
The beauty of this product, there is absolutely no problem of compatibility. You can use it in each and every diesel engine, whether they are old or new. But let me tell you that the benefit in terms of environment will be higher with older engines rather than newer engines. There is no problem in mixing this product with old diesel in your tank, since at the very beginning at least you are not going to find this product everywhere in the UK. You are going to find it within 2 months in our 500 service stations.
So why is the removal of sulphur so important?
We know from medical research that sulphur in the air is a major contributor to breathing problems such as asthma and bronchitis. It's also a major factor in smog and a contributor to acid rain.
Sulphur produces sulphur oxide produces acid rain produces damage to the countryside in general. Any attempt and any method of reducing that level of contamination or pollution in the atmosphere must be of benefit not just to ourselves but to our children.
Back in 1992, Elf decided that diesel needed to be much cleaner than was being proposed at the time, and they spent 3 years and £70 million building facilities, ensuring that the production capability was years ahead of European legislation due to come into force in 2005. Their fuel is available now. Other manufacturers and throughout Europe will eventually have to meet the same specification.
Considering that this diesel is completely compatible with every engine you have, it is an excellent diesel from the point of view of miles per gallon. It doesn't cost you more practically. It brings these tremendous environmental benefits. I would tell them you have absolutely no excuses not to choose this product.
Just got no idea at all. They cut you up, just literally don't look out for you at all.
Well, I don't think they're really aware of the problems we have, especially when cornering.
I mean, main problem we get with them is when they're in the middle lane doing like 55 mile an hour. I mean, we're restricted to 56.
Especially when you're coming off of a junction, everybody wants to get in front of you. Instead of staying behind, they want to beat you to the junction.
Because truckers still have one major problem to contend with: car drivers. They just don't understand the trouble we have handling rigs like this. Now, in an attempt to get some sort of dialogue between truck drivers and car drivers going, the AA and the Freight Transport Association have launched the Stretch Yourself campaign. It's aimed to try and make car drivers understand the problems that truckers face in 5 key areas where there could be conflict that might lead to accidents. Let's see what they're talking about. This is the Mercedes-Benz Actros. It's the state-of-the-art as far as modern truck design goes. It's extremely aerodynamic, and for me, it's one of the best-looking trucks on the road. I'm sitting on top of 570 brake horsepower. The cab is sprung from the chassis, and my seat is sprung from the cab, so it's really comfortable. It's really quiet in here. The ventilation and the air conditioning are perfect. The stereo sounds really good. And the beds are really comfortable. Power steering is finger light. We're on cruise control. The gear shift is operated by this tiny little electronic joystick that takes me up and down 16 gears. And the brakes really are state of the art. They're controlled by a computer that works out the load I've got on board, the sort of stopping power I need, and automatically adjusts to the road conditions. And by the way, we're 38 tons fully loaded. And despite that massive engine, well, fuel consumption is kept to an absolute minimum, again, by computer. I'm literally flying by wire. There's no connection between the accelerator pedal and the engine. All I'm doing is telling the computer how fast I want to go. And other parts of the design are clever as well. For instance, the mud guards are designed to divert water into the center of the vehicle, so it cuts down on the dreaded spray. And in winter, it also keeps road grit and salt in the center of the road instead of spraying it off onto the green verges. And yet, with all this technology at my fingertips, I still wouldn't say it was easy to drive a rig like this. Now, car drivers normally just cannot wait to get past a big 38-tonner like this, and they think we crawl around the roads. Of course, don't forget we're limited by very strict speed limits, 60 miles an hour on the motorway, 50 miles an hour on dual carriageways like this, and 40 miles an hour on single carriageway A roads. And don't drive right up behind us, because I can't see you in the mirrors and I don't know you're there. Stay far enough back so you can see my face in the wing mirror, and if you can see me, I can see you. Now, when I have to turn left at a tight junction, I've got to swing this rig right out onto the right-hand side in order to make it. So don't be tempted to try and nip through on the inside, because mark my words, that gap is going to close pretty damn rapidly. First roundabouts now, when I come up to a roundabout, I have to take a middle lane through so that I don't clip the curbs on the way in and out. So don't be tempted to try and nip up my inside or on the outside, because you can see a gap, because that gap's going to close very quickly. Now, slip roads like this can be a problem coming onto a motorway. When we're hammering down the inside lane here, you may think we're not giving way to you enough and letting you out. But the trouble is, we can see faster traffic coming up behind us, and we can't just swerve into the middle lane because it might cause an accident. And again, if you decide to dawdle out in front of us, just remember 38 tons takes an awful lot of stopping, even if you've got the most sophisticated anti-lock brakes.
How can you be more comfortable driving your car? After the break, Howard Stableford will be finding out how.
Are you sitting comfortably? Well, it turns out that very few of us are. And when you think about it, the way that we sit behind a steering column is a rather bizarre position in which to while away the hours. Look at the leg position, for instance. You don't do this on your sofa with your knee up here, your leg down there, and your foot balancing on its heel. And of course, you don't sit like this either, with your arms out in front of you, wobbling about for a bit. And also, with no head protection, your head tends to meander around your shoulders for hours on end. Well, it all adds up to major driver fatigue, and that's a big safety issue. So I've come to the heart of Hertfordshire to meet a man who's convincing the car manufacturers that we should all be sitting pretty. And here he is.
Terry Mole is an osteopathic consultant who's advised Saab, Ford and many others on car seat design and use, and he's currently spearheading Vauxhall's campaign for comfort.
So Terry, what's the big problem? I get in my seat, I adjust it to the most comfortable position for me, so that's all you can do, surely?
What feels comfortable isn't necessarily right. if we look at you, first of all, you're wearing a thick coat, which means that it spoils the shape of the seat and moves you too far forward on the base of it. So that really should be the first starting point to get into correct driving position.
Well, that's a surprise to begin with. I didn't realise a coat could be a problem.
How about see if we can get that coat off and sit you properly?
All right, well, we'll do that in a minute, but just tell me what's wrong with the position I'm in
Right,
now.
well, if you look, put your foot on the accelerator and press it down.
Yeah.
You've got a gap here, there's no support, even in the most depressed position. Ease it up to a normal driving position, you'll find that comes away even further.
So a gap under the knee is wrong?
No, you need support, that's right. You don't want a gap there, you want support. It means you're too close. And you've got height and tilt adjustment on this seat too. So it would take you back a bit. Now depress the accelerator fully. That's better, and then let it go then. And just drive a normal, you're now getting some support. Then we can bring you up a fraction at the front as well with the seat. You're now properly supported.
Right. What about my back?
Well, your back is too upright. As I say, the coat is an exacerbating situation. We'll take you back now. Put your left hand on the steering wheel. Now that's better. You were much too upright. And now that's a much better position. Your weight is going through your shoulders onto the seat. The lumbar curve is supporting you, and you reduce the amount of weight on your hips. You're also much more stable because gravity is now holding you in the seat instead of letting you move around. And the one thing you didn't look at was the lumbar support here, which we should take right off, and then tell me as soon as you feel it. Just
I can feel it on
that's it. As soon as you that's fine. You stop then. That's all the pressure you need. Lumbar supports are not the be-all and end-all that a lot of people say they are. Too much lumbar support actually rotates the pelvis forward, which is bad. Now, the other thing as well, the head restraint for you should be one notch higher because you'd be just level with the base of your head. Just that's it. That's lovely. And then you've got the seat belt on. That should come down a fraction on adjustment so it goes across your shoulder and gives you proper support. That's it.
So there is an awful lot to think about. What surprises me slightly is this backrest position, because I thought if I was upright I was more alert and watching the road and that sort of thing.
That's right, because you'd probably sit more upright thinking that it's the best position to be. In fact, if you're too upright, you aren't supported at the shoulders, you don't get back onto the seat, the shape of the seat doesn't work. And every time you corner, you're having to hold yourself because the seat isn't holding you. Gravity has made you unstable in that position, whereas gravity now is holding you against the seat.
So are my problems typical of the motoring population, Terry?
Well, in fact, you were better than a lot. Some people sit, only a little though, some people sit much too close and much too, there's people who sit so far back they're straining and away from the seat back. And people really don't know how to use a car properly.
OK, well, now there are lots more issues. We've already covered quite a few, not to do with the seat, but other things inside the car that can also add to comfort and safety. So should we go for a drive?
Sounds like a very good idea.
Well, Terry, my new seating position feels fine. I'm literally more laid back than I used to be. I suppose that's a good thing. But you were saying that other things are important too inside the car, not just the seating arrangement. What else?
There are a number of things which affect driver comfort. Obviously, steering wheel relationship, pedal relationship, minor deviations from straight on those are tolerable, but if they're majorly offset, then they do have an overall discomfort creation problem. Right. There are other things. Air conditioning, or better still climate control, adds to the driver's proper environment. You can make yourself very dozy by being too hot, but with good climate control or air conditioning, keep yourself cool on all occasions.
Well, racing drivers, for instance, sit very low down and they think that's the best way to drive. What do you think about that?
Racing drivers know where they're going, they know nothing's coming the other way, and they don't need to see a child or something run out from behind a car very close to the front of the vehicle. They have almost no intrusions in front anyway. In a car for road use, it's much more critical that we're at the highest reasonable point we can be to get the best possible vision, not only ahead but immediately in front of the car, plus the fact that from the point of view of the legs and the hips working, it's much more effective when we sit up from the pedals rather than low down to them.
How much of the responsibility lies with the driver, and how much is it a cause for the car manufacturers and the seat manufacturers themselves?
Well, it's equal in both, because it's always a personal responsibility to make use of things that we have. But I think where the big gap has been in the market is that nobody has taken the time or trouble to tell people how to use the seats they're making. Because a good seat that's badly used is actually worse for you than a very average seat which is well set.
So now we know what makes a good driving environment and how you should be sitting comfortably in your car. And if you're wondering how your car seat compares with the rest of the world, then, well, Terry, you've got an interesting way of showing.
I do indeed. Terry Mole's top 10 cars for drivers.
Here we go with the top 10 standby pop pickers. At number 10, the Fiat Punto SX.
Ease of entry and exit, good seats, high driving position, fully adjustable steering wheel, great little car, value for money.
At number 9, the Vauxhall Astra Sport.
Excellent seat with adjustable thigh support, good headroom, fully adjustable steering, rake and reach, good ergonomics, best of the model range.
At number 8, the VW Golf.
Excellent seats, fully adjustable steering wheel, rake and reach, good ergonomics, available throughout the range.
And what's at Terry's number 7? It's the Ford Mondeo GLS.
It's excellent seat, good adjustable steering, good headroom, good value.
And at number 6, the Saab 9.3.
Excellent seat, whiplash head restraint, excellent headroom, great value for money again.
We're now at number 5 and it's the Volvo S70.
Great car again, good seating, good posture support, very safe, good features.
At number 4, the Vauxhall Omega Elite.
Good seats, air conditioning, cruise control, navigation system, great value for money.
And at number 3, it's the Saab 9.5.
Superbly safe car, wonderful seats and ergonomics, whiplash resistant head restraint system, and one of the most comfortable cars on the market.
At number 2, it's the S-Class Mercedes electric seat pack.
This is a car with so much room, it's almost immoral, not as big to drive as it looks on the road.
And at number 1, it's the BMW 7 Series Sport.
Superb seat, with support for thigh adjustable, unique shoulder support adjustable. At this moment, very hard to beat.
It's official, the 7 Series BMW Sport straight in there at number 1. We've been driving the Vauxhall Omega, which does well too, but where on earth are we going to get a 7 Series Sport at this time of day? Well, that's a bit of luck. Will this one do?
Perfect.
Excellent. You can show me why this is so special.
I can indeed. Let's have a look at the seat.
Wow, well, it certainly looks sumptuous, but then you'd expect that in a car of this quality, wouldn't you? What are the salient features here?
Well, you have a seat that has a very good shape, side support, good bolstering there. It has a good relationship to the wheel, which is fully adjustable, but it has this electric thigh support, which is excellent, enables you to fit the support under the leg as required.
That's rather neat, isn't it? I've not seen that before.
Well, it is. There are other cars that have it, but if you have short or long legs outside the average, this makes a big difference. But the thing that's very special about this, it has adjustable shoulder support. You can see the top move then. This means that you can always make sure you have adequate support in the shoulders, which is one of the failings of a lot of cars.
Fabulous luxury. So the idea of a seat like this is to complement and match your body contours as much as possible.
It is indeed. So long as you're using the proper principles to make sure that you're getting it set right, then it really does do the job for almost everybody.
Well, we better go and try it out, really, hadn't we?
We certainly should.